Good evening, and welcome to my book collection. I'm sorry I don't have a bow tie and a bare chest, but I do have a Sir Colonel Tony Moore original. And so I'm trying to get in more of that crowd. Anywho, further alliteration on La Bibliothèque Internationale. Season 2. Which end? This one? Introduction, eh? No, I'll switch back to English. See, I'm better than a movie. Introduction. Hi. No, I'll start again. Introduction. Oh, I haven't done. Yeah, sorry. Once again, back here's the rhyme, the incredible rhyme animal. Yours truly. Introduction. This dictionary has. Oh God. From the top. Introduction. This dictionary has been designed to provide easy access to the name of the demons, demonic systems, and specialist terms, which are encountered in occult, magical, and demonological circles. I suspect Tim Curry may know something. Towards this end, I have marshaled some 3,000 demonic names, compiled largely from the main demonological traditions of the grimoires and the Greek literature in which demons have proliferated, such as the works of Dante, Milton, and Blake. It's off to a rollicking good start. Gromit wouldn't say. In order to throw some light on these names, I have also included entries on the main demonological literary traditions, such as the Enochian demons, and on more important demonologists and specialists ranging from Bodan to Blavatsky. Now that's good company. Most of the demonic names and traditions examined in this dictionary are very ancient, and it is therefore inevitable that certain demons crop up more than once in very different surroundings. For example, we find some of the same names in the lists of the spirits of Solomon, in the literature of the Enochian demons, and in the Sanctum Regnum rituals. And this could hardly be otherwise. However, I have not restricted my researches to the official demonologies. I've tried also to give a bird's eye view of the importance which demons have in the more general tradition of English literature, noting the use to which a few named devils have been put in various plays and poems, and including also special entries on devil phrases and quotations relating to demonic lore in literature. Now, why did I do that bit? Because those ones were in capitals, which means they're entries in here. Although we have seen the demoting of the ancient gods, there's a lot of that. Once you hit Christianity, everything's sort of such as Baal. It was worshipped in the locality of Mount Peor and was later known as Bel Poer. Now this is you're getting Howardian, you're getting Lovecraft, there's stuff like that. You're like, wow. Get into your Clark Ashton Smith, baby. Book of Ebon. All that. Known as Bel, I am repeating myself. In demon form. Or the transformation of a Syrian word for money. Mammon. That's mammon. It's a Syrian word for money. Ooh, look out. Into the name of a demon of materialism and avarice. See Mammon. The history of demons has changed little in 2,000 years. A graphic example of the tenacity of the ancient gods, which survive into the late medieval grimoires, may be seen at a glance from a comparison of the symbolic crown of Egypt with the falcon head, which is emblematic of the god Horus, with the terrible demon king Mammon, who appears in many grimoires as a bird-headed monster. So watch out for it. It's birdemic. Look. The name Mammon may be derived from the Syrian Mammon, but it may also come from the Egyptian Amon, emptiness, worshipped as a supreme god for millennia along the Nile. That's 1,000 years. Yeah, less easy to grasp, however, is how the gentle unicorn, which rests its head in the lap of virgins, finds its way into demonological lore? Question mark. I'm going to blame Tim Curry again. Because nobody wants to say Tom Cruise. Mia Sarah was there. Ask her. On the Horn of Ulf, with a U, which is preserved in York Minster Museum, the unicorn is entered into the grimoires by virtue of being granted a demon-headed tail. See page 8. This is better than fucking Final Fantasy. Excuse my French. Le merde. The unicorn with the demonic tail from the carving on the Horn of Ulf in York Minster Museum after the drawing used as a frontispiece to Robert Brown's study. The Unicorn, a Mythological Investigation, 1881. The unicorn was a lunar creature and therefore well adapted to demonification, as the realm of the demons was linked with the lunar sphere. Like horns. Like, I grew up in a farm, and things grow horns, and they drop off, and they grow again. Oh, wow, like the moon. Look, it's just like the moon. Also, yeah, I can see the iconography. It's cute. It's rad. Like, it's cute and derpy. Anyway, I think it's cute and derpy. But this is before Christianity came along and made everything evil, so everything had to look evil. And so on. Even in the first centuries of our era, we find the same occult paraphernalia. Oh, that's the top of that. Yeah, so I've described that. So we go back. By the pharaohs of old. Because of the questions which attach themselves to such graphic problems, it is clear that anyone who wishes to come to grips with the demonological tradition must have some grasp of its history. Many of the entries in this text are designed to help in this respect, for wherever possible, I've included some mention of the main proponents of the more important beliefs and developments which have taken place in this realm since the early Christians turned the ancient gods into demons. It is difficult to generalize accurately about the demonisms which have obsessed, often quite literally, the mind of man during the past 2,000 years. Because of this, we made manbots. No. Because of this, the entries within this book are intended merely to point out main trends of history and to set out the distinctive and even curious attitudes which emerge time and time again in the periods under question. However, against the background of such distinctive and curious demonisms and beliefs, we may observe a few historical constants. It is quite possible to trace throughout history a number of persistent attitudes to demons, a few constant beliefs about their natures, which might be termed the true history of demonology. Among these are the seemingly universal notions that the demons are usually invisible, but that they do not work by nature or by natural inclination for the good of man. Indeed, they are usually inimical to man. That they may at times become visible to humans, sometimes by accident, sometimes by design, and that they may be raised, conjured, and commanded. The notion that demons may also be exorcised, which is to say that they may be driven back to the invisible realm from which they originally came, is also one of the constantly held notions. However, the most fundamental of these communal beliefs is the one which insists that demons may be raised or conjured with a view to satisfying the specific desires or aims of the magician or his client. It is in this last belief that the seeds of the most insidious of all the medieval demonisms lie, the belief in demonic pact. These constant views are examined in the following text, which some reference to their historical contexts under conjuration, exorcism, and pact, all in italic capitals. Something of the pagan view of demons may be gleaned from the description given by Homer, of how Odysseus consulted the demons at Ephyra. The rites involved blood sacrifice and the spirits raised were essentially necromantic. Actually, skyomantic, nerd. Though it says that there, but not nerd. Though there does not appear to be any great differentiation made between the shades of the dead and the demons themselves. Odysseus was, of course, consulting these shades in order to peer into the future, and it seems to have been a basic belief in ancient times that demons could be raised in order to reveal their superior wisdom in many areas. The Roman rebuilding of the so-called Necromantion at Ephyra, with its complex of upper rooms and distinctive subterranean arched chamber, the very one specified by Homer and mentioned in several classical texts, has recently been rediscovered. Our notion of the classical demons is often bedeviled by the fact that, Maud better laugh. Bedeviled by the fact that there was a distinction drawn between the daemon and the demon. Battle Sisters are calling me. And this is Matthew Damon. There's lots of them in that game. And the demon and this has led to confusions which persist even to this day. You know what you got to do. I'm fighting missions for Space Marines. When Socrates referred to in old books. Oh, God. There will be some cable bashing here. When Socrates referred to his daemon, was it golden shiny? He most certainly did not have in mind anything demonic in the modern sense of the word, no more than the astrological pars of daimon is linked with demonic law. The confusion between the daemons, the demons, the angels, and the intelligences has persisted even into modern times. Uncanny. The demonism in the stories in The Golden Ass. The theremin appears, I'm going to die. Told by the initiate humorist Apuleius, already points to a strain of belief which was eventually to rack the medieval world. That the consultation of demons is essentially involved with witchcraft, or rather that anyone who consults demons is on the edge of a dark and forbidden world. In the world of the Golden Ass, this book is worth more than its weight in gold, I'm telling you. Witches seek the noses and ears of hanged men or murder for the sake of blood, and so on. Even in they just do that. And even in the first centuries of our era, we find the same occult paraphernalia in literature as we find in the Hammer movies of the 20th century. Like Sir Christopher Lee. And the other chap, yes. The story of the man transformed into an ass. What the fucking hell? Excuse my the meal. The story of the man transformed into an ass, despite its esoteric undertones, was written for entertainment. However, and it must be remembered, damn, and it must be remembered that the ass hero of the story is driven by reasonably pure motives. For all his fear of what might happen to him if his transformation is discovered. I too have been to Berlin. Despite this kind of literature, however, there are indications that there was still a sort of priestcraft in the ancient world which knew how to raise demons, knew the specific qualities of individual demons, and was intent on using this knowledge for therapeutic ends. Anyone unfamiliar with the therapeutic lore of the ancients might well regard the temple sleep or ritual incubation of the Asclepian hospitals and sanctuaries as being rooted in demonism. Wow. If only because it was involved with the serpent magic, which is now little understood. You go, witchy gals. You go. However, esoteric lore indicates that these curious methods of healing were the results of a highly sophisticated system of beliefs derived from the ancient mystery centers. Such beliefs, perhaps now remembered in the symbol of the Caduceus of intertwined snakes, sea serpent, the emblem now of both commerce and medicine, through its connection with fleet-footed Mercury, has survived in many other remarkable images which express a root belief in the healing power of snake lore. As, for example, in the carving of serpents biting themselves, which is a fragment from a highly sophisticated medieval allegory. That the lore of serpent symbolism has been misunderstood and confused with the darker side of demonology comes as no surprise in the face of the lack of appreciation of the art of symbolism in modern times. Hyperrealism can go 4K itself to death. Even the surviving details of the life and theurgic power of such an initiated magician as Apollonius of Tyana or the converted Cyprian have been misunderstood in modern times, simply because the methods and terminologies of the ancient initiates are no longer part of our cultural heritage. For example, Apollonius is careful to point out that his method of skyomancy, by which he raises dead men, is different from that described in Homer, for it involves prayer rather than blood sacrifice. Even so, when the conjured shade of Achilles came at his request, there is said to have been an earthquake, and the spirit or shade vanished at cockcrow. It is all good theatre reminding us that the ghost fear of the crowing cock is much older than Shakespeare's Hamlet. Forsooth. Much of the Apollonian literature is foreign to modern sensibilities, however, and this leads us to misunderstand much of the wisdom behind the fables and tales in which the ancient lore was conventionally clothed. For example, the perplexing notion recorded in the Apollonius literature that trees are more ancient than the earth accords well with esoteric lore, even though it is a notion which seems on one level to be absurd. What do you think now, science guys? However, it is claimed that those forces which maintain trees in a state of life, the so-called etheric forces, I pray to the four winds, had to be developed long before the earth itself could precipitate into a physical form and become monkey and become a suitable reservoir for physical bodies, subsequently to be suspended in the animating power of the etheric. Such notions, which themselves point to the existence Aru of the angels and the fallen angels, long before the creation of physical mankind, a point developed by several of the early Christian authorities, are derived from an ancient wisdom which is still preserved, albeit in a different form in modern esotericism, which is almost foreign to our present somewhat rigid and materialistic cast of thought. Long before we can rightly approach the demonism of the pagan world, we must examine certain deficiencies and limitations in our own thinking and symbolism. For a rational, comprehensive statement of the strain of demonism in pagan thought, we must turn away from the largely incomprehensible esoteric documents to the more familiar literature of Plutarch. Yet even here we find traces of belief clearly derived from the mystery wisdom. Here, for example, we discover the well-entrenched notion that the falling stars are demons. More exactly, the demons of men who are given into their passionate nature. The teaching that the demons are mortal, though long-lived, and the statement that they are many different types of demon, a point developed in the following era by Sallust. The link between the demons and the stars is commonly held in classical and early medieval literature and appears only to have been lost in the codifications of the later medieval witch hunters, who relegated all the demons to the infernal regions of the earth in a model of the universe, which was not geocentric so much as diaboliccentric. The link established between the demons and the stars may simply be a reiteration in simplistic terms of what has since those days been called the Great Chain of Being. Or it may reflect the notion that the stars and the demons must have something in common. For the stars were believed to be made from the fifth element, the invisible quintessence. There's a real fifth element. Quintessence. You know, I had a lot of that Guy Fieri. And it was from this that the and DiMaggio. And it was from this that the demons made their simulated bodies. Babes. That's Karen Gillan. The Star Child. Go check out his eyeballs. They're amazing. And it was from this that the demons made their simulated bodies. It is perhaps this notion which has contributed to the popularity of the pentagram, a five-sided magical seal as a symbol in the art of demonic conjuration. On the other hand, a more powerful and poignant explanation of this strange connection could be that demons were viewed as fallen angels, for it was held long before Christian times that certain of the ranks of angels lived within the realm of the stars. Whatever the truth behind this important idea, the fact is that it was the medieval church which really made the physical center of this earth into the playground of the demons, mingling them with more intimately with the lives and post-mortem experiences of men than any classical law had done. Wowzers. Plutarch also points to the domain of the demons as being the moon. Oh my. A notion which persists even in modern esoteric literature, for example in the writings of Steiner or Ouspensky. Though this is a reflection of the idea taken for granted in the early literature, but often forgotten by modern interpreters, that the true dwelling of the demons is the sphere of the... And then I've got to show you the illustration. You've got a seal there, which is a sphere with a pentagram in the middle. You've got some Hebrew. The five-pointed star and the magical seal of the angel Metatron. So that's the seal of Metatron, who is sometimes invoked in diabolical or angelic conjurations. This seal, which is from a 17th century text on angel magic, appears to have been based on the seal preserved by Cornelius Agrippa in his De Occulta Philosophia, and that's 1531. So that's where Lovecraft gets, a lot of that stuff from. You can hear it. And I'm just thinking back now, because we've traced our family back to its roots, which is Tregonning in Cornwall. And there's gravestones there that are so old. They're back to the 1600s, and then they erode. And then there's 15, who's what? And you're like, whoa. So I'm just like, ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Read your red books of Westmarch. Moon, which is something quite different from the moon itself. The haunts of the popular demon image, which proliferate in works of art, as varied as a manuscript tradition, see demons, sophisticated frescoes, or the serene art of the mosaic worker, see Lucifer, down to the crudest of the popular woodcuts, are probably nothing more than a reference to the crescent of the moon, the spiritual home of the demons. Like, sure. She's Mistro. Yeah, Nick Cage, but that's hardly a surprise. Plutarch tells the interesting tale of a man who sailed to islands 5 days' journey west of Britain, where Saturn was imprisoned, served by demons. The man learned that a preliminary of the post-mortem state for every human was that his soul would wander for a while between Earth and Moon. That is, in the sphere of the Moon. This is still an important element in esoteric doctrine and the modern term for the experience undergone in this purgatorial region by the deceased in the Sanskrit word Kamaloka. Kuri word, whatever it is. Oh, no, not Sanskrit. So that's like Indus. In pagan literature, there are classes of demons which live within the earth, but it was left to Christian demonism to link different types of demons with the different levels of hell. In a grandiose, diabolicentric image of the earth, which was portrayed by perfection by Dante, and he wasn't even meant to be there that day. It is in the comfortingly familiar essays of Plutarch that we learn that the demons, like the angels, are the mediating class between God and mankind. Although we are again hovering around the difficulty of distinguishing daemon from demon. It is a notion which was inverted by the later Christian writers. He saw the demons as the mediating class between the devil and mankind. They sound like negotiators. Truly, diabolus est deus inversus. There's your real Latin. And this is pretty safe. Like, if you're super freaky, like, no, what if there actually is, what if I do say a spell? This guy is hygienic. That's why you've got to seal a Metatron. And he's explained all the snake imagery and stuff and said that's what that is. And then you've got that. Seal of Metatron's never bad. The view of the demons as fallen angels is certainly pre-Christian. Traces of this notion, mixed with strains of esoteric thought, derived from the mystery wisdom, are contained in the Enochian literature, linked rightly or wrongly with the biblical patriarch Enoch, which was for the first 3 centuries of our era regarded as virtually canonical. See Enochian Demons and Tolkien. In this patchwork of texts, the view is that a certain number of the angels lusted after women and married into the human race. Damn elves. As a result of which, they became fallen angels. I'm being a man. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo for Kate Winslet. Boo-hoo. This commerce with humanity was fundamental to the introduction of civilization to mankind. No wars. No. No. And the notion of fallen angels may therefore, in this pre-Christian text, be seen as a reflection of the idea that certain angels willingly sacrifice themselves, that is, fell from the state of bliss, in order to serve the evolution of the world. This notion is still one of the beliefs woven into the rich tapestry of modern esotericism, although it is in fundamental disagreement with the official theological view of the fallen angels. In simple terms, the esoteric view is that the demonic fall was intentional and sacrificial, while the theological view, stripped of its trimmings, is that the demons fell through some inner deficiency, such as pride. It is for this reason that the theological demons expressed in literature with the greatest dramatic skill by Milton see Milton's demons as so thoroughly humanized, if a little histrionic. The esoteric demons are never anthropomorphic, save in a strictly symbolic sense. This probably explains why the ancient Egyptians were careful to make their representation of demons theriomorphic. See, for example, Anubis. The specific functions of the fallen angels, or the Enochian demons, as they were later called, numbered in some texts. I'm going to have to, I'll take a break. Numbered in some texts as 200. Surviving texts such as the Key of Solomon, which lists the spirits of Solomon, which specifically the art, craft, or philosophy at which each spirit is most proficient and for which it may be conjured. And then it goes on about the emergence of Christian demonism being gradual. And I'll leave it at that. I do have a bookmark. That's what bookmark's for. So look out. Don't make me mark you with my bookmark. And there you have it, kids. Now that's a creepy bedtime story. My eyes are black and kind of cross-eyed. So, until next time, be chill, be cool, think about things, try not to stress out. There's deeper code, baby. And, certain types just don't have enough pomade to get that, that shiny. Anyway, see ya.